y'all, it's Nate. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are spending time with, family and friends or whatever you're doing today that makes you feel special and fed. Hopefully everyone's eating a good meal today. So this message is going to be referenced by the book of Esther, y'all. So I rewatched the book of Esther, but I did rewatched it because I watched a movie of it. And I was like, oh, let me watch Esther because I'm getting that people are entering into like the Esther season, or not even entering into, because watching the movie, Spirit was telling me like people were already in their Esther season. So as I was going through the movie, it was like pinpoints that was showing me like people were actually dealing with that, right? Like they were at the point where things were being brought to the light about the enemy. So I'm going to reference Esther so you guys can understand. If you don't know about the book of Esther, that is probably a problem, and you should definitely get into your Bible bag, or, get on YouTube, look up some Bible stories. I love how they have like Bible movie stories. So Esther's main op or enemy in the book of Esther is Haman, right? Haman, however you want to call him. And he was like, not second command, but he was like the king's ring bearer or ringleader. You know what I'm saying? Like someone, armor bearer, like someone that's right by the king's side, right? So this is someone that the king must obviously trust, someone that the king has had a relationship with, someone that always was quick to like manipulate things so that the king didn't really know exactly what it was that they were doing, right? So because we know Haman, he did a lot of things that were only good for him, right? To put him in the position of king. His whole point was he wanted to get into the position of king, right? Because the king was deciding to go to Greek, I believe. So he was just excited to kind of be looked at in that position, right? And Esther, she had her uncle, whose name was Mordecai, who they kind of like set out this plan or whatever. So they made a plan within the plans that was already taking place. So they knew that all the women were going to be, I have a revelation about that as well, when all the women were taken to the king's palace. So actually, we're going to get into that revelation as we're going through this whole message. This might be a 40-minute message. I don't know, y'all. So, as the girls were getting picked up to go to the palace, this is the revelation that I got from that, was that God, even though they didn't like how they got pushed there or taken there, a lot of women have been picked up to be saved and plucked for their husbands. So what I got from that scene, when all the women were walking in after the knights or whoever had picked them up to bring them to the palace so that we can find a queen for the king, right? So all the women were a bit nervous. They were shy. They didn't know what to expect walking into like this dungeon or whatever, because you just got kidnapped. So they wasn't expecting things to be going all good. And as they got there, the men, I forgot the main guy. I gotta rewind that really, really fast. But it's one of the guards that started to respect Esther because he noticed her and how different she was. She was doing really different things, because when it came to Esther and her being kidnapped to come to the palace with the other women, she wasn't looking at it as her being kidnapped. She was looking at it as some type of opportunity was going to be brought to her from being here. You get what I'm saying? It's like she didn't look at it as she was dying or anything was wrong. She was turning the negative into a positive. So when she got there, she was more hopeful. She was like twirling around outside, and she had like a lot of like different visions or whatever that was coming to her, and it was really keeping her at peace to know like everything is going to be all right. So she was really like calming down the other girls, the other women that was there, and really trying to support them and tell them like, yo, everything was going to be all right, which was kind of weird because she was there out of her will for them to find who will be the next queen. And so that was like a first big thing that I noticed, is that God has put aside a couple of women who are waiting for their king, right? And as these women got to this palace and they were working with this guard, they didn't know that they were walking into this kind of establishment where like they were getting it was a lot of healing that was going on there. They were doing a lot of like massages and oh my God, like face mask and crystals and roses and like healing and preparing a woman to step into her femininity when she's about to be with a masculine. So it was like prepping the person, prepping the queens, right? So all these queens were stepping into a place where they were being prepped, right? The guard was getting them prepared to take care of their skin and their body and stuff like that. And it was like they were going through not like an initiation, but they were being prepped for their king. So there's women now that is being prepped, or not even now. There's women that have been pulled and they could feel like they're still in that prepping season, or you guys could have felt like you were nervous at first because maybe God pulled you from a lifestyle that you were living, right? You was out in the streets, you was dating around, you was doing whatever you were doing, and then you feel like you were unwillingly pulled into this position of where God is saying, I have a king for you, so I need you to get prepared. Oh, that's a word. There's a lot of women that have been pulled, set aside for this time where God is like, I need you to get prepared for your king. And these women were getting prepped in ways that they never imagined that they were getting prepped. They didn't know what they were walking into, right? When it came to being chosen for the king. So with that, I want to say, go with the flow of things when you realize that you have been chosen to be set apart, to be prepared for by God. You know, these women, they were a bit antsy, they were a bit, panic and stuff, even though they were all basically trying to get the same king. But it was like, that's not the revelation of this. The revelation is everyone will get their own king, but you guys need to be willing to prepare and be groomed into that. You know what I'm saying? It's like God needs to prepare us to truly be a wife. God needs you to prepare your body, right? Because what if he wants you to bear children for your husband, right? God needs you to cleanse and just get the whole temple together. And that's exactly what happened when these women were taken from their village or whatever to be brought into the king's palace, working side by side with Hadassah, aka Miss Esther. And she was kind of the one that she was going through the same things that these women were going through. She was panicking. She didn't like the way that she was brought there, but she was the one that was looking at the bigger picture and really, accepting what was going on and understanding that something good was going to come out of it. She was very hopeful that something good was coming out of it. And she was also herself. Like, the guard kept catching her doing things. And he's like, are you trying to not get chosen by the king because you keep doing these things? Like, she was just doing random things that was making her feel good and stuff like that. And it was like, she was just being herself. Right? So, women of God that has been set apart for your kings, remind yourself that it's always best to be yourself, because that's how you're going to get noticed. Right? When the other women, they were being more alike, they wasn't asking the right questions. They wasn't trying to really get to know the king, right? We got one scene when the girls were asked to pick a piece of jewelry that they can gift to the king. And all the women just went running to go look through the jewelry. And only one woman was like, how can I gift the king with something when I don't know what the king likes? And guess who that woman was? That was Esther. So this is telling me that women, when you're being brought into this situation, you need to kind of rest or calm your mind as fast as possible so you're able to really think rationally when situations like this arise. Esther was still a bit nervous from her being taken from her village and having to go through this, but she still looked at it with a positive mindset. Do y'all get what I'm saying? It's like she still took time to think about what was being shown to her, like what was being given to her. She didn't just start running and doing what everyone else was doing. No, she wanted it to make sense. She wanted to fully understand, and she wanted to fully impress the king. She didn't want to just give him something that everyone else was giving him. And this is a message to the women of God, to always be your own self. Always try to tap into your authenticity, because this is what's going to make you stand out for your true king. You actually taking that extra 2 minutes to ask a simple question or to really think deeper is going to give you more time, or is going to get you recognized by your king. Y'all got that? So I think I'm going to end this first half of the video here, and I will be back to explain other key points that stood out to me in the book of Esther. All right, so I'll catch y'all my next video. Check out the next one. Bye.